Hi, everyone. I thought I'd come online just very quickly. I'm dashing out for the evening, but this story is unfolding and you're on this journey with me. And this is pretty breaking news. So I'm going to share some breaking news with you. And it's in regards to a book that I'm currently reading. And I wasn't going to come online and read to you today, but I read some things that they don't sit well with me. And I actually kind of have a little bit of a stomach ache right now just talking about this, because these are words and they're real and they're in a book and I've printed it off. This is when I read something very interesting, I don't want to read it on the screen, so I print it off. And this is the Conspirators hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. Now, I have to share with you, I got this 175-page PDF from a listener. I think it's from a listener, or it could have been from something that I Googled. But I don't remember opening this. I don't remember downloading this. I don't even remember looking for it. I remember talking about it and I remember clocking it in my head, but I never spoken much more about the Committee of 300. I did speak it to my dad in an email when I've been trying to uncover the bullshit. Now that we know he's been brainwashed, I now know what kind of bullshit I have to cut through. But that's the only time I've ever learned about the story of the Committee of 300. And I had a dear listener tell me about this when I was speaking with her. We had a great chat, and she's actually going to come on for an interview. But when I was plotting about who's in charge, and I think I was talking about the Soviet scab, one of my posts that I wrote about, and she was saying, oh, it goes way, way, way deeper than that, and it has to do with the Committee of 300. And I was like, whoa, what's that? And because I don't know this piece of the pie, of course, like I said, I put it in my mind, and I kind of forgot about it, because I get a lot of information every single day. So I kind of forgot about it for a couple of days over the weekend. And 2 days ago, my computer froze. It's acted up ever since I had an interview with John Coleman, the guy that knows so much stuff about American history. I had an interview with him and my computer doesn't work anymore. It just crashes all of a sudden. And I was actually going to the website of the class that I'm taking about American history and how to live in the world these days. And then my computer froze and shut down. And when I opened it back up, this was on the screen. And for those of you who know my journey, I've been guided on this journey the whole time. I've been handed information and I'm just going with the flow. So I just went with the flow and I printed this out. And now I'm actually finding the words that they have used for the New World Order. And, this is going to come back to the conversation that we had today about these organizations that are plotted in society that are supposed to be telling us the truth. This, my friends, this is what I call the truth. This is the truth. What I am reading on these websites, no, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. So I'm going to read to you what I just read a few minutes ago. And I'm sure a lot of you probably have already read this. I'm a newbie here. I'm just learning. And I know there's a lot of listeners out there that are also just learning. But I will say that I have had a little bit of an inkling that this existed, because there's people out there in the truth movement that reference some of the things that are in here. And in these first couple of paragraphs before we read about the New World Order, it's going to talk about Mount Olympus. And I've heard about Mount Olympus. Matt from Quantum of Conscious, who I highly recommend if anybody wants very, very close to truth. And I mean, as far as truth as I've gotten on this journey, Matt from Quantum of Conscious is amazing. And he talks about Mount Olympus, which is the Committee of 300. So just to give you a little bit of background, there's like a small group of families on this planet, and they're made up of 300 people, and they consist of presidents and politicians and Hollywood, and you name it, they're part of the pack. And I didn't know that the name was Committee of 300, but now I do. And so I just want to read to you what I have been learning about this committee, because, like I said, I wasn't going to come to you, but I just think that this information is important. Okay, so where do we start? Okay. What then are we looking at? A loosely knit gathering of people with weird ideas. Certainly not. In the Committee of 300, which has a 150-year history, we have some of the most brilliant intellects assembled to form a completely totalitarian, absolutely controlled new society, only that it's not new. Having drawn most of its ideas from the Club of Cultus Diabolicus, it strives for a one-world government, rather well described by one of its late members, G.H. Wells, in his work commissioned by the committee, which was so boldly called The Open Conspiracy, Plans for a New World Revolution. So, moving right along, it was a bold statement of intent, but not really so bold, since nobody believed Wells, except the great superior ones, and those who, what we would call insiders today. Here is an extract of what Wells proposed. The Open Conspiracy will appear first, I believe, as a conscious organization of intelligent and, in some cases, wealthy men, as a movement having distinct social and political aims, confessedly ignoring most of the existing apparatus of political control, or using it only as an incidental implement in the stages, a mere movement of a number of people in a certain direction who will precisely discover, with sort of a surprise, the common objective towards which they are all moving. In all sorts of ways, they will be influenced and controlling the unsessionable government. Like George Orwell's 1984, Wells account for a mass appeal for a one-world government. Summarized, the intent and purpose of the Committee of 300 would bring to pass the following conditions. Are you guys ready? Jesus, you can't make this stuff up. Now, I read this for the first time today. So for you guys joining, you might want to sit down. This is real. It's not real in my world because I rise above this, but this is conscious, been written, handed down for 150 years. And as you're going to see, it's actually in society right now, which is what is getting me really uncomfortable in my stomach. Because this ain't theory anymore. This is not pie in the sky. This is here and now and what's coming, which we just need to pay attention to. So, I don't like reading this, but a one-world government and one-unit monetary system under permanent, non-elected, hereditary oligarchists who self-select from among their members in the form of a feudal system as it was like in the Middle Ages. In this one world entity, population will be limited by restrictions on the number of children per family, disease, wars, famines, until 1 billion who are useful to the ruling class in areas which will be strictly and clearly defined, remain as the total world population. There will be no middle class, only rulers and servants. All laws will be uniform under a legal system of world courts practicing the same unified code of laws, backed up by one world government police force and a one world unified military to enforce laws in all former countries where no national bound areas shall exist. The system will be on the basis of a welfare state. Those who are obedient and subservient to the one world government will be rewarded with means to live. Those who are rebellious will simply be starved to death or declared outlaws, thus a target for anyone who wishes to kill them. Privately owned firearms or weapons of any kind will be permitted. I'm sorry, guys. This stuff is just crazy. And the crazy thing is, this is happening right now. This is happening right now. Laws are being put into government right now. Guys, I can't start crying. I'm going out, okay? Okay. Okay. So, you know, we're kind of in the midst of this happening. A lot of this is going to be pie in the sky for the future, which is what I don't want to say word concerned. I'm preparing for some of the vision that's in here. Some of the vision is already happening right now, is already in place, it's already working. So we need to disengage from what is already working, and we have to start creating something new quickly. Because like the lockdown is really right around the corner. And this, when you read it, it's like, fuck, they've gotten away with a lot. There isn't a middle class right now. Like if you were in Australia right now, you'll know that that's, you know, we are the poster child for one world government. You know, we're the first country to come on board, you know, and America is quickly following suit, with Asia and all those countries in Asia leading the way for the next revolution of leaders in the world stage. So their plans include the takeover of America and the dumbing down of America to support this. And that's happening as well. And you're going to see that in here. So let's move on, okay? Only one religion will be allowed, and that will be in the form of one world government church, which has been in existence since 1920, as we will see. Satanism, Luciferianism, and witchcraft shall be recognized as legitimate one world government curricula with no private or church schools. All Christian churches have already been subverted, and Christianity will be a thing of the past in the one world government. Now, in regards to this paragraph, I want you to know that I know how the church is being assaulted by this, and that's why I put together the Church of Anarchy, because it's a stake in the ground to say enough is enough, that we're not going to take this. We're not going to take this. No, we ain't going to take this. Not a one world church. And they love Satanism. They love their rituals, which, by the way, I've been reading up on. They're crazy. These people are crazy. But they do love their ideas as well. Moving right along. To induce a state where there is no individual freedom, or any concept of liberty surviving. There shall be no such thing as republicanism, sovereignty, or rights residing with the people. National pride and radical identity shall be stamped out in the transition phase. It shall be subject to the severest penalties to even mention one's radical origin. So just in regards to that, our individual liberties have been impinged. I don't know if you guys are following along. If you are watching the news, you probably don't know the update on this. If you're following those organizations that I've pointed out earlier, you're probably not going to understand this. But this is also happening. My freedom friends know what's going on, but most of my other friends don't. This next paragraph reads very close to my heart. Each person shall be fully indoctrinated that he or she is a creature of the one world government with an identification number clearly marked on their person so as to be readily accessible, which identifying number shall be in the master file of the NATO computer in Brussels, Belgium, subject to instant retrieval by any agency of the one world government at any time. The master files of the CIA, FBI, state and local police agencies, IRS, FEMA, Social Security shall be vastly expanded and form the basis of personal records of all individuals in the United States. So this paragraph right here has to do with a few things. Real ID, which is coming through the pipe. We've got the Five Eyes Agreement with the US, Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand. These Five Eyes Agreement. The ID chip. The babies that are getting chipped. Your Social Security number. All of these are already being stored in a one central database. Over here in Australia, they have put together My Health Records to move towards this one database. You can opt out, opt in. You can't opt out. You can't do this in America, especially if you've registered as a United States federal citizen, which is why I've spoken about this. Your citizenship right now really does matter. It's so important for us to get our heads around this situation right here. What is your identifying number? Because also, something else, you guys, just so you know, the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, FEMA, Social Security, all of these are privately run organizations that have been or are traded on the stock exchange. So we've got all these government agencies that are privately run that's storing all of our information that's now connected to all of the countries, well, 5 of them at least. I'm sure there'll be more if the US CIA wanted it, absolutely. This next one is really important as well. Marriage shall be outlawed and there shall be no family life as we know it. Children will be removed from their parents at an early age and brought up by wards as the state of property. Such an experiment was carried out in East Germany under Erich Honecker, when the children were taken away from their parents, considered to be disloyal citizens. Women will be degraded through the continued process of women's liberation. Let me read that again. Women will be degraded through the continual process of women's liberation. Free sex shall be mandatory. I didn't know that. I didn't read that before. Okay, guys, so yeah, they're destroying the institution of marriage. Again, I'm destroying the institution of marriage as well, but in a different way. I'm getting the state out, but they are getting the connection and the union between two people. That's what they're doing. They're ruining the spiritual alignment between two people. They've hijacked it. And this is their thoughts on marriage. And this free sex shall be mandatory. You know how they love their mandatory laws. Like the vaccines. What are we looking at right now with the vaccines? We've got, they're just so righteous. Okay, and so something else on this paragraph, this is why they're normalizing pedophilia. This is why they're normalizing sex with younger children at a young age right now. Okay, and this is also why they have these programs such as Love at First Sight. And, you know, it's like they're really embarrassing. Like they're degrading really the idea of marriage through mainstream. That's why you should turn off the television. But anyways, moving on. Failure to comply at least once by the age of 20. Okay, good. Whoa. Sorry, guys. I got to read this again. Free sex shall be mandatory. Failure to comply at least once by the time you are 20 shall be punishable by severe reprisals against her person. Self-abortion shall be taught and practiced after 2 children are born to a woman. Such records shall be contained in the personal files of each woman in the One World Government's regional computers. If a woman falls pregnant after she has previously given birth to 2 children, she shall be forcibly removed to an abortion clinic for such an abortion and sterilization to be carried out. Now, we all know that's happening right now. I'm not going to get into that, but that's happening right now. If you weren't watching the news, you'd know that sterilization is a big problem. And just the fact that they have the right to tell us what to do. I mean, I know that this movement has been placed in society, but they've been placed in society to divide and conquer us. We need this situation to bring us together, that nobody has the right to make these decisions. But that's a different conversation, different day. Let's just move on. This is really hitting home because I was just sharing with my dad how Baby Tinder, whatever that website, whatever that game that I just posted on my wall with Jimmy Kimmel, that's really not nice. It's really gross. It's evil, and it sits not really nice in my stomach. But then this next paragraph talks about pornography shall be promoted and compulsory showing in every theater or sorry, guys. It's hard to read sometimes. Pornography shall be promoted and be compulsory showing in every theater of cinema, including homosexual and lesbian pornography. The use of recreational drugs shall be compulsory, with each person allotted drug quotas, which can be purchased at One World Government stores throughout the world. Mind control drugs will be expanded and usage will become compulsory. Such mind control drugs shall be given in food and or water supplies without the knowledge and or consent of the people. Drug bars shall be set up, run by the One World Government employees, where the slave class shall be able to spend their free time. In this manner, the non-elite masses will be reduced to the level and behavior of controlled animals, with no will of their own, and easily regimented and controlled. That's where technocracy comes in. Their philosophy that we are animals and that we need herding and control because the world is got finite resources and that they are special, they are more connected to God, so they have the right to rule this, and this is where the whole New World Order comes from, and hence the Committee of 300. These are their words, not mine. I'm just reading them to you because this is what I read today, and before I go out tonight, I just wanted to share that. I don't know why this makes me so sad, probably because this is happening in the world right now. And my dad just asked me today, what is this evil that you keep talking about? Because he hasn't been hasn't been fed the same information that I have about world events, about, the rules and the regulations and the things that are happening right now. He doesn't know. So, and I didn't know this, so I'm filming this, and I'm going to be sharing this with a few people because I think it's really important just to know what's out there. You don't know what you don't know. And there's been a lot of documentation on this. Like I said, there's a lot of people that have drawn from this. So this is my first time reading this. So the economic system shall be based on ruling oligarchical class, allowing just enough food and services to be produced and to keep the mass slave labor camps going. All wealth shall be aggregated in the hands of the elite members of the Committee of the 300. Each individual shall be indoctrinated to understand that he or she totally dependent on the state for survival. The world shall be ruled by the Committee of 300 executive decrees, which will become instant law. Boris Yeltsin is using the Committee of 300 decrees to impose the committee's will on Russia as a trial run. Courts of punishment and not the courts of justice shall exist. So this whole economic ruling class and how laws are and ruling laws, like that kind of already exists on this world because you guys probably don't know this, but they're playing chess and we're playing checkers in the legal jurisdiction. And we think we're going in for one thing and they're actually doing something else. And we don't know their language. I'm starting to learn their language, but most of my listeners don't. And it's not because you're dumb. It's just because you don't know what you don't know. But they know. And this is their plan, not mine. Moving on. That was the economic system. This is now moving to talk about industry. Industry is to be totally destroyed, which they're doing right now with the likes of Amazon, eBay. I mean, eBay not really because that's self-ownership, but soon there's going to be so much tax on the eBay. But Amazon is a very good example. Amazon, you sell everything, and then when you try and be a Amazon seller, they have really controlled the information that you're getting from your sale. They've really not really allowed you to be a business, just allowed you to sell their products, which you get taxed on. But they don't get any tax. Isn't that brilliant? They know the law of the land. See, that's why we all have to figure it out. But so industry will be totally destroyed along with nuclear power energy systems, which, by the way, we already know that there's free energy all around, but you're not going to learn that on the nightly news. Only the Committee of 300 members and their elitists shall have the right to any of the Earth's resources. Chime in Agenda 21. Agriculture shall be solely in the hands of the Committee of 300 with food production strictly controlled. Chime in the Lima Declaration. As these measures begin to take effect, large populations in the cities shall be forcibly removed to areas, and those who refuse to go shall be exterminated in the manner of the one world government experiment carried out by Pol Pot in Cambodia. whatever those last three words mean. They just make up shit as they go. But this is happening right now. Agenda 21 was that paragraph. Would you like me to read it again? Or maybe you can just rewind and read this again. Watch this again, because that's happening right now. If you guys don't know about Agenda 21, don't go to the John Birch Society. They're not telling you the truth. I will refer you to what you need to know about Agenda 21 if you want to know. There's Rosa Chiori is the green mask, something behind the green mask. There's also Frankenstein that talks about the weather manipulation. We can talk about vaccines if you want. We can talk about 5G. We can talk about a lot, but let's move on to what their plan is. Euthanasia, moving on from industry to euthanasia. For the terminally ill and the aged shall be compulsory. No cities shall be larger than the predetermined number as described in the work of Calgary. Calgary, right? I think I said that right. Essential workers will be moved to other cities if the ones they are in becomes overpopulated. Other non-essential workers will be chosen at random to be sent to the underpopulated cities to fill quotas. So that means they're going to kill the old because they're taking up too much room. And depending on who you are and depending on where you live and what your status is and probably what your social crediting score is, mind you, social crediting is being rolled out here and there, will determine which city you go to. That's what they're thinking, that they're going to herd you based on a few things. Whether or not you're old or young is one of them. Oh, this is the best part, you guys. You can't make this shit. You're back. Okay. I've got to wrap this up. I've got some dancing to do. I'm going to dance my heart off because this stuff, this is the only time, this first time I've read this, you guys. So I was like, whoa, I gotta hop on, you guys. I gotta tell you, this bit is the best bit. Well, not the best bit, but they're the ones that wrote this. My grand debut. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited war, organized epidemic. Oh, fuck. Sorry, guys. Okay. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year of 2050 by the means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal, rapid-acting disease and starvation. Energy, food, and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations of the Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, which 500 million will consist of the Chinese and the Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are more accustomed to obeying authority without question. So they want to depopulate the planet. We've all heard about this before. And they're going to depopulate the continents that include America, Canada, all of the Western white races, and they're going to keep the Asian continents and people as their resource because they are obedient and they do not question authority, as we see in China right now. The technocracy system has rolled out in China. And as we know through technocracy and Patrick Wood and I's a lengthy conversation, that China is the test ground of these technocrats, i.e. the Trilateral Commission, i.e. the UN, i.e. the presidents, Bush, Clinton, all the people that we voted for. They knew about this, by the way. They knew about this plan. Apparently, this plan has been on the planet for 150 years. Today is my first day, and it's your first day too, maybe, but let's move along. Okay, so from time to time, there shall be artificially contrived food and water shortages and medical care to remind the masses that their very existence depends on the goodwill of the Committee of 300. So we can confirm that they're doing that right now. They are manipulating the weather. They're causing shortages. They're causing floods and issues with survival. You know, Penny Kelly always talks about how we are in such a fragile state right now because our livelihoods are in the hands of the people that think we're useless eaters. And they have a grandmaster plan to get the planet to a manageable number. And they're rolling out all this stuff like 5G and vaccines, and we're just taking it all in. And we're not considering that the Committee of 300 has a grandmaster plan in place. So let's just move on. It's almost over, guys. Thank you guys for staying with me. I'm shocked beyond belief. But, I mean, you can't really shock me. And I kind of knew this existed. I had never read the words. I had never read them out to you. Okay. After the destruction of housing, auto, steel, and heavy goods, industries, there shall be limited housing and infrastructure of any kind allowed to remain shall be under the direction of NATO's Club of Rome and shall be all based on scientific and space exploration development. Limited to the elite under the control of the Committee of 300. Space weapons of all former nations shall be destroyed along with nuclear weapons. So we all know about the Club of Rome, or I don't know if you guys know about the Club of Rome and NATO. These are all organizations that, you know, they've been around. Anyways, all essential and non-essential pharmaceutical products, doctors, dentists, and healthcare workers will be registered in a central computer data bank, and no medicine or medical care will be prescribed without expressed permission of regional controllers responsible for each city, town, and village. So that means if you are working in the medical industry, whether you're a doctor, whatever, you're wearing a white coat and you are pumping out the medical bullshit, you will have to get your name in a medical database. By the way, you guys, do you like my new haircut? Sorry, it's so poofy. I feel like Marilyn Monroe. Anyways, yeah, if you're wearing a white coat, you're going to have to put your name into a database. And we're going to have to monitor you guys. And that really brings me to a very good idea, because I have a feeling that you guys in the white coats, I was just thinking, like, eventually we're going to need somebody in the white coats to fake that we have had these vaccines. But I bet you they might record you getting the vaccine. We need to figure out how we're going to be able to get the vaccine without the eyes in the sky. Like, there's surveillance. How are we going to, because without the vaccine, they're going to say you can't go on a flight or you can't get, any kind of service. Like what my listener's baby has to endure. No jab, no service, no jab, no money, no nothing. Anyways, let's talk about what will happen to the United States. The United States will be flooded. What is happening to the United States? The United States will be flooded by people of alien cultures who will eventually overwhelm white America. People with no concept of what United States Constitution stands for, and who will, in consequence, do nothing to defend it. And in those minds who the concept of liberty and justice is so weak as to a matter of little, food and shelter shall be the main concern. Okay, so this is what they're saying is that, and as we are seeing with the explosion of people over the borders, these sanctuary cities, the legal immigrants coming into America, going into the EU, coming into Australia, this is blending the nation so that the people who love America and love the Constitution is getting blended with people who don't even know what the Constitution stands for. Throw in a whole generation that is not learning the Constitution or knows how to read cursive writing, and we've got a whole population that says, well, what the hell is the Constitution? It's time for something else now. The UN Manifesto. Likely one world government. And these, my friends, are the rules. That's kind of how I feel they're going to plan this. They're going to get us so tied in that we have absolutely no other option but to be subservient so that we can get food and shelter. And we don't care about what America stands for because, yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. New century. And with these things that are happening inside America right now that you're not going to read in the paper, on the news, or in any of these institutions that I've talked about this week, sanctuary cities is a very real thing. Immigration is a very real thing. They're not doing it to talk about the border and the wall at the border. That's not what's going on. This is what's going on. This is the truth that I like to veer to. If they're talking about this, you know that they are talking truth. If it's anything other than that, they're bullshitting. And they're giving you a big ass platter of lies. Platter. I would love a platter right now. I'm starving. I got to get moving on, you guys. We have one half of the page left, guys. We're going to move on. No central banks, save the Bank of International Settlement and the World Bank, shall be allowed to operate. Private banks will be outlawed. Remuneration for work performed shall be under a uniform predetermined scale throughout the one world government. There shall be no wage disputes allowed, nor any diversion from the standard uniform scale of pay laid out by the one world government. Those who break the law will be instantly executed. So they're going to be forcing everybody into just like one job, one pay. You work for the state, you get your money, you get your food, you get your housing, such as the smart housing in the smart cities that are being rolled out right now. Oh, they've got everything taken care of. And you're not going to learn about this on the news. You're too busy in your phone to know that this is happening, but it's happening right now. And regarding the bank, yeah, guys, money situation. I mean, I'm not going to talk about money right now, but there are people out there that are at the cutting edge of what's going on with money. And if you do not know what is on the cards with this bubble of everything about to burst, that really, it really gets to me. I think that's when people are going to wake up. That's when they're going to be like, wait, maybe Sheena is talking a little bit of truth. Okay, there shall be no cash, no coinage in the hands of the non-elite. All transactions shall be carried out by the means of a debit card, which shall bear the identification number of the holder. Any person who in any way infringes the rules and the regulations of the Committee of 300 shall have the use of his or her card suspended for various times according to the nature and the severity of the infringement. Now, as you guys know, if you've been following me, you know that this has happened to me. I've had some money problems, not because I'm a bad person, but because my money is in the hands of the elite, and they deemed me as not very nice. They thought I was money laundering. 10 years ago when I was in my old marriage, in a different country, completely different life. And because I didn't answer the questions properly, they said, no, you're not going to get your money. And that was for 3 months. I didn't get my money because I couldn't answer the question properly. And then I had to call my dad, and he had to now that I know the plot, now that I know that he's a lifelong, supporter of the globalists, and the globalists will do anything for him because his money is then their gold. They, of course, unlocked my account and they moved things forward. But you guys know this is coming. Okay, so let's move on. Such persons will find when they go to make a purchase that their card is blacklisted, and they will not be able to obtain services of any kind. Attempts to trade old coins, that is to say silver coins of previous or now defunct nations, shall be treated as capital crime, subject to the death penalty. All such coinage shall be required to be surrendered within a given time. I just cry because this has already happened. This has already happened in history. So, okay, let me gather myself, guys. Okay. Such persons will find when they go to make purchases that their card is blacklisted, and they shall not be able to obtain services of any kind. Attempts to trade old coins, that is to say silver coins of previous and now defunct nations, shall be treated as capital crime, subject to the death penalty. All such coinage shall be required to be surrendered within a given time, along with guns, rifles, explosives, and automobiles. Only the elite and the one world government, high-ranking functionaries will be allowed to have private transport, weapons, coins, and automobiles. As we know, they're making the towns autonomous without any drivers. In Detroit, they're testing that out where Ford and all the automobile companies are. Google's got a think tank there, and they're working on that right now. Okay, back to using the card. Okay, if the offense is a serious one, the card will be seized at checkpoint where it's presented. Thereafter, that a person shall not be able to obtain food or water, shelter, and employment of medical services, and shall be officially listed as an outlaw. Large bands of outlaws will... You guys, I'm sorry, Max Egan talks about this a lot. Large bands of outlaws will thus be created, and they will live in regions that best afford substance, subject to being hunted down, shot on sight. Persons assisting outlaws in any way whatsoever shall likewise be shot. Outlaws who fail to surrender to the police or military after a declared period of time shall have a former family member selected at random to serve prison terms. Sorry, guys. It's almost one more paragraph. Okay. Guys, I didn't know I was going to cry today. Rival fractions and groups, such as Arabs and Jews and African tribes, shall have different magnified and allowed the wage wars. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me just... Okay, I'm gonna freshen up. I'm gonna read this last paragraph with style. Okay. Rival fractions and groups, such as Arabs, Jews, and African tribes shall have differences magnified and allowed to wage wars of extermination against each other under the eyes of NATO and UN observers. The same tactics will be used in Central and South America. These wars of these wars of attrition shall take place before the takeover of the one world government and shall be engineered on every continent where large groups of people with ethnic and religious differences live, such as the Shis, the Muslim Pakistanis, the Hindu Indians. Ethnic oh God, sorry, there is a I need a glass of water. Okay. Ethnic and religious differences shall be magnified and exasperated, and violent conflict as a means of settling their differences shall be encouraged and fostered. All information services and print media shall be under control of the one world government. Well, we have that now, don't we? The media, my goodness, that is like one big propaganda machine. Tick. Regular brainwashing control measures shall be passed off as entertainment. Tick. That's what the entertainment industry is. That's what movies are, Hollywood. Cartoons. Yep, that's what cartoons are. That's a brainwashing control measures shall be passed off as entertainment. In the manner in which it was practiced and become fine art in the United States. Youths removed from disloyal parents shall receive special education designed to brutalize them. Youth of both sexes shall receive training to qualify as prison guards for the one world labor camp system. So that's the end of it, but I'm going to just read the next paragraph because this next paragraph hits really close to home. It is obvious from the foregoing that much work remains to be done before the dawning of the New World Order can occur. The Committee of 300 has long ago perfected plans to destabilize civilization as we know it, some of which these plans were made known by Zbigniew Brzezinski in his classic work, The Technotronic Era, and the works of Aurelio Pichello, who founded the Club of Rome's, especially in his book, The Chasm Ahead. I've already interviewed Patrick Wood on this concept. There's 2 interviews out there about this. In The Chasm Ahead, Pichello spelled out the Committee of 300 plans to tame man, who he called the enemy. And this is what he writes. Why should I concern myself with how many die? Even the Christian Bible says that what is man, that God should be mindful of him. For me, men are nothing more but a brain at one end and a shit factory at the other. And that's what they think of us. They think of us as brain on one end and a shit factory on the other. And their technocratic ideas are to be herding us in society like cattle. And the 5G system is exactly that. It's the monitoring, it's the cameras, it's the social crediting, it's the Five Eyes Agreement. All of that, plus the takedown of the church, the takedown of marriage, the sexualization of children, is going to allow them to fuck women at any time, fuck children, doesn't matter the age. And it's going to allow our divide between you and me, allow us to kill each other if we wanted. That's why you can smell satanic foundations in some of the economic theory that I've uncovered. The words ought and shall, which cause gray and uncertainty, is where this is going to come in. I hadn't read that before I was telling you that today, but like everything else on this journey, I've been handed information, and there you have it. That's why this gray is so important, because that situation is going to come to where you and I are going to be able to make our own decisions about what your life means. And by that time, we would have all been dumbed down to know how special we are as humans and how powerful we really are. And they've stolen a whole paradigm of opportunity. And they've just kind of shuffled us in. According to the Anunnaki, they changed our genes to become enslaved and to be in this world of enslavement. So, I mean, I was born into this, you were born into this, and according to their 150-year plan, our children are going to be exposed if we don't, I don't know, like, pay attention. I think right now is the window that we have, because the 5G system is something we all can focus on as a point of reference to where we need to focus. Besides getting us all on the same plan and get us all connected and thinking the same thing, we need the 5G towers off for that to stop. Because without that, they won't be able to monitor us. They won't be able to kill us instantly. Now we're getting somewhere. If we have passion behind the vaccine movement, they won't be able to kill us instantly. That's all we need, is just everybody to be like, wait, hang on a second. I just read your words, and that ain't happening on my watch. All we need is a football field worth of people that knows that that exists. So now you know. Now you guys know. You guys have got over 100 people on this, and this is the most I've ever had. So I think that angels are telling me that this is important to know. Can you please share this with your loved ones? And I mean, I would have thought me stepping out in front of the camera to talk about this would have like caught people's attention of my friends and my family. Because before I stepped in front of the camera, I dropped out of technology because of this. And I freaked out because of this. Like, it's been a year and a half, like, understanding all this. I hadn't read it until tonight, but it's not easy to read, and it's not easy to know that that's like, I mean, I don't care if you call this a belief. It's like, it's not a belief. I mean, as much as I want to call it a belief, it's not. If this is in a printed format, and there's words on here, and I am not the first person to read because I'm just a wee grasshopper. Yeah, that's right. That's what we need to be focused on. So, guys, I think I'm going to roll out some of my technocracy interview with Patrick Wood, because that's going to be very interesting. That will tie you guys into We also have to tie in Agenda 21. Agenda 21, and we have to tie in vaccines and 5G and the smart meters on the local residents, which right now ICLEI are the UN organization that is preventing us from protecting our families. That's what we need focus on right today. So if you want to contact me and get information on how to remove the 5G tower, that is what I can, I'd love to help you with, because if we can all just focus on that one step right now, we are one step further away from that plan. So, what do you think? And, something else. Okay, so Susie, I love Susie. I'm so excited. Susie's going to come on. She's going to tie in everything that's happened from 9/11. So we need to understand, how did our freedoms get affected and what is happening now on planet Earth. And she's going to paint the picture, just like Bruce Kane painted the picture, and just like Patrick Wood painted the picture. And I've talked to a whole bunch of people. We're all kind of just painting it in our own little way, because we are all now at the top of our lungs, screaming and wanting to wake up our neighbor peacefully, but urgently. And this is perfect timing, because we've got this weather manipulation going on with little Greta. You know, there's a lot of discussion in mainstream right now about the legitimacy of Greta. And I can tell you guys right now that things that are happening, just look back in history, and the same things are happening in the Soviet Union. And like I like to say, it's like a Soviet scab. And what Susie says, it's more than just Soviet Union. It's more than Russia, more than, Soviet Union. Is so much going on here. Like I was saying, it's the Committee of 300, which we need to, I don't know, I'm going to dig more. But, you guys, if you guys want to stay along and learn who some of the people are in the Committee of 300, this will be very interesting, because, I already read this part earlier. And this, by the way, is at the back of the book. That whole one world government, I guess you call it a manifesto. I don't know what you would call that, but let's just read who is in this, because that, my friends, that is really who we need to put some focus on. Okay, let's see. Ooh, we are going to get some good juice right now, you guys. Now, oh my gosh, you guys, I have to say, I'm just the messenger, you guys. Oh my God, my hair is so short. I'm just the messenger. You can't hate me. I'm just the messenger. Where do I begin? Oh God, fuck. Okay, all right. All right. Okay. Now, they're just talking about right now, they're just talking about that these people are going to be an open view, and they are. If you want to understand what's going on, their symbolism is in front of you, and like we said, in their entertainment, their story is in front of us. So here in this book, you're going to read a little bit, and we're going to expose one of them. And I know this is going to ruffle one of my friends' feathers, but please don't get upset with me. I am just the messenger. So these men are in open view. These men are servants of the one world order. Like the rapist who stops to offer his victim a friendly ride, he does not look like the monster he is. If he did, his intended victim would run off screaming in fright. The same applies to government of all levels. President Bush does not look like a deceitful servant of the upper level parallel government. But make no mistake about it, he is much as a monster as are those horrors found in horror movies. Stop for a moment and consider how President Bush ordered the brutal slaying of 150,000 Iraqi troops in a convoy of military vehicles carrying white flags on their way to back the Iraq under the Geneva Convention rules of agreed disengagement and withdrawal. Imagine the horror of the Iraqi troops when, in spite of waving their white flags, they were mowed down by American aircraft. In another part of the front, 12,000 Iraqi soldiers were buried alive in the trenches they occupied. Is that not monstrous in the truest sense of the word? From where did President Bush get his orders to act in such a monstrous fashion? He got them from the Royal Institute for International Affairs, who received its mandate from the Committee of 300, also known as the Olympians. As we shall see, even the Olympians do not hide their face. Oftentimes, they are put in show, which we could be likened to a Paris air show. Even as conspiracy buffs spend their time in fruitless searching in the wrong places and in the wrong direction. Note how Queen Elizabeth II performs the ceremonial opening of the British Parliament. There, in plain view, is the head of the Committee of 300. There's a truth drop for you. Have you ever witnessed in the swearing in of a United States president? There, in full view, is another member of 300. So who are the conspirators who serve the almighty powerful Committee of 300? The better informed of our citizens are aware that there is a conspiracy and that these conspiracies go under the various names such as the Illuminati, Freemasonry, the Round Table, the Milliner Group, and to them, the CFR and the Trilaterals represent most of what they do not like in regards to the domestic on foreign policy. So that's just sharing you just a little bit about who these people are. And the plot thickens, you guys. I just wanted to come to you today. I have now spoken for over an hour. I didn't know that it was going to go for over an hour, but my battery's going to die and there is a dance floor waiting for me. So I'm going to go. I'm going to wrap it up right now, but I'll come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on the Sheena Showdown. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful day wherever you are in the rest of the world. Bye for now, guys. See you soon.